Hey folks, today we're working on a 1998 Jeep Grand Cherokee, the 5.9 liter limited edition. This is a beauty we found. We're replacing the passenger front door window regulator. Here's the full view of the 1998 Grand Cherokee 5.9 limited if you wanted to just get a better look at it. She's a beauty. Notice the louvers on the hood. That is special to the this edition, 1998 only. All right, here we go. We're going to get to work. Here you can see the problem we're having is this passenger front window won't roll up all the way. It'll kind of go up and then fall down a little bit, but won't stay all sealed up. When you push up on the power window switch, it just vibrates, tries to close, but won't go. You can see what it's doing there. So we're going to replace that window regulator and hopefully fix the problem. All right, first thing is to remove this plastic piece right here. I've already popped it out a little bit. A plastic body work tool like this is really great to prevent scratching, better than using a screwdriver if you've got access to something like this. So you just pop this piece right out of there to access a screw that is right there. All right, next we've got these little covers. Go over the other Phillips screws. There's one there, and then this screw down here is not covered. That's another Phillips screw. So we're just going to pop these off with a little mini screwdriver, being real careful not to scratch the plastic. It's loose. Okay, now with the Phillips number 2 Phillips screwdriver, we remove the 4 Phillips head screws. Once you've removed the 4 Phillips screws from here, behind the door handle in here, up top here, and this one down here just above the speaker, you're now ready to pull the door panel off. Just held on by some clips. They're pretty standard interior body clips that are hidden. You'll just want to get under the panel. You see ours is loose already. Previous owner had done some work with the speakers and obviously broke some of the clips. So once we undid the screws here, our panel is hanging pretty loose. But using a plastic tool like this one is much better than a screwdriver if you have something available so you don't scratch your paint. But you just pop out around the door until you get all those clips loose, and then the panel will come up off the channel here. It has to come up a little bit to come out. When you're ready to remove the inside clips from the door panel, for any kind of interior work, these are great. I use these all the time, probably less than $5 for just plastic, really nice, don't scratch up your paint. If you don't have that option though, and you're thinking about using the old screwdriver, great option, or necessary, is to take either a microfiber or a red rag, whatever you have, wrap it up around the screwdriver so that when you get that screwdriver in there, none of this metal touches your paint at all. You want to have that screwdriver all wrapped up real nice with a thick layer of pad, or you can use cardboard, can work too. If you put a piece of cardboard in, put your screwdriver on top of the cardboard and down under there to get that door panel propped up. So be careful, don't want to do any damage while you're fixing. Yeah, on this Grand Cherokee Limited, we've got one plug down here for the door light. Looks like we got to pop up on that little tab. So I'm going to have to use 2 hands, pull up on that little tab and pull out. And that'll come undone. Then way back up in here, which is very hard to see, there's another clip here for the power windows and such, and then there's one for the door locks for the window up in here. So we'll have to get to those with 2 hands and undo all 3 of those. The door on our Cherokee was done up with Dynamat for sound dampening. Someone put quite a bit of it in here, so we're going to have to remove that to get into the door and get to the window regulator. See here, these little clips, if you can see that, there's just a little tab that locked onto that. This tab, the big one down here, this big plug, it doesn't have any locking tabs, so when you're trying to reach down in there and undo it, all you have to do is just kind of wiggle it, pull on it, and it comes out as one unit that's not actually secured by any locking tabs. Then this one up here also has a little thing on it, and there's a tab on the panel that latches onto that you just have to pick up on the tab on that, and it pops right out. Yeah, one of the tricks on the 98 model Grand Cherokee for this is the bolts are in a little different place than some of them. As you can see here, we need to remove the window from the regulator. And there is this little bolt right there that you have to loosen, and there's also one over on this side of the regulator that you have to loosen. So the trick is to have the window about at that level so that you can reach through this little square hole and get that bolt, and get through this opening here to get to this bolt. Anywhere else you can't reach those bolts. So what we did is we pulled the door panel off so that we could see where we needed to get those bolts. Then we held the door panel up, just plugged in this one plug temporarily so that we could run the window switch with the key in the accessory position and get the window to where we could reach those bolts. Okay, with the 10mm socket and a little extension, we just loosen those 2 bolts on the regulator holding the window. Okay, so we removed the window from the regulator. You can see here these had a 10mm nut on them. That's what we removed. That was in the window regulator here, bolted in. Some people say you can just loosen that nut. We found it easier just to take the nut right off, and then we were able to jiggle the window forward a little, and then we had to pull on the regulator a little to get it over the end of that screw so we get the window loose. Then we pulled the window up and out of the way. You got to make sure you hold on to the window when you're doing this so you don't drop it in there. And then we don't have a window wedge, so we just used some of our plastic tools here with a rubber glove to create some friction to prop that window up so it's almost all the way up and it's out of our way for removing the regulator. Now time to remove the regulator. We're starting with our 6 10mm bolts here with the ratchet. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 down there, and then there's these 2 over here just on their own, 5 and 6. Those hold that regulator in. Okay, we've got the regulator loose. It's down in the bottom of the door here. You can see it just flopping around. We're making note that this little piece, so when we install the new one, there's this little piece of channel here. This was upright in here and bolted into that hole right there. So when we get the new one in, it'll be easier to, we've kind of paid attention to how this was in the door. You can see down in here, that's the motor right there attached to the regulator. So you got to unplug that before you can go any further. Up here is the wire coming through and going to this plug. So we just need to lift up. You can see that tab right there. Let me focus. And a little tab right there. And pull that plug out. That'll go right down through there. And now our regulator should come out through the big hole here without too much trouble. With a little bit of wiggling, we got this part out past the hole. And now the rest of the regulator will just slide up out with a little bit of wiggling and effort here. And here's the rest of the regulator coming up, out, through the door, and there's our motor plug. I think we found our problem here. On the back side of our regulator, we got it out. You can see these teeth are ground right down. They should be pointy like these ones, and they've been somehow completely ground off. That's why that last about ½ inch travel on our window would not go up, and was the motor was essentially skipping on those teeth. Just wanted to show you on the new window regulator setup that we got from Rock Auto. The teeth are all full all the way around, so you can see how they're supposed to look. We're just sliding the new regulator in, and we'll wiggle it up in there. Pretty simple, really. Then we'll get our arm up in there and reach for the cord and feed that up through the top. You can just reach your arm up in there and bring that electrical cord back up through the slot where it came from, and plug it back into its connector. It's a tight fit because it's a weather pack sealed connector. There we go. We'll start by attaching the piece in the rear, just doing kind of finger tight just to position it with the first bolt. Okay, next we take this piece and push it up in there, and we will just hand tighten the screw into there. And you can see we're still working on the back portion of the door there. So now that rail is secured up in there. All right, with the regulator in, the two rear bolts there are just, there's that second one, are finger tight, and our regulator came in the full down position. So you can see we have to pull down on the window, the bar down there, to get it to open up so that the 4 poles will line up there. We've already got 2 of the bolts in hand tight. We actually had to, they're self-tapping, so you have to kind of get on them with the wrench to get them to start and go in. So we'll put those other 2 in and keep going. Don't forget to tighten the 2 rear bolts when you're done there, that one and that one. You got those 4 tightened, and you can see our window is all the way down, so we're going to just plug in the door panel with that plug temporarily so we can raise the regulator up and get it to where the 2 bolts are going to be accessible through these 2 holes so we can attach the window again. Okay, we turned the key on accessory, we plugged this back into the door panel, used the window switch to raise the new regulator up, so once again we have access to our holes. So this is the bottom of the window right now. We're going to bring that down there, and sorry, the bolt's up there actually in this corner, the stud. It's going to come down back through here, put the nuts on, and again this side over here through the little small square hole. The window is hidden up in there now, but we'll bring that, once we bring the window down, that stud will go right in there. Okay, we've got our screws tightened up. They kind of, you got to slide, this channel should slide when these bolts are loose or just hand tight. So you slide it forward in the door so that it's latched in, and then tighten up the 10mm nuts. See that one up in there, and we got them all cinched down. One thing to remember with all these is don't over tighten them. These are kind of into soft metal, and you don't want to strip anything out on this or it'll just be your worst nightmare, so don't over tighten. Next, we're just going to plug the door panel back in again here and run the window switch and make sure that the window cycles all the way up and down and does what it's supposed to do before we go to all the trouble of actually attaching the door panel. Okay, we tested the window and it's working well. The last thing is we just wanted to take advantage of this time to check our door lock stuff here. All looks to be in good shape, and put some spray lube. I use Boeing T9 rust and corrosion protection. It's a waterproof lubricant spray can. Really good stuff. Sprayed a little of that on all the linkages there, and up in behind the door handle, just put a little lube. It's a good time to do that since you got the door panel off anyways. And then we shot some silicone lube. Mostly you can only reach this side of the window channel back in here. Put some silicone spray in the channel there just to help the window move up and down, and we put the window down and shot some silicone spray up in here too to try and get it down in there in this track, but you can't really reach this track very easily, so just helps a little bit, keep things running smoothly, less stress on the door motor. So now it's time to put our Dynamat mess back over. You guys probably just have the plastic factory vapor barrier. So we'll get that back together and get the door panel put back on. Okay, the door panel is back on. We replaced a few of the little factory clips on the inside that were not grabbing well. And we've got our 4 screws here, one under the door handle, or the armrest, one inside the door handle here. One up here, one down here above the speaker. All we got to do is put the little decorative covers back on these couple spots and should be ready to go. As you can see, windows working real nice. It's a beautiful thing. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. Good luck with your projects.